And so this sexy artist is just immediately infatuated with Lockhart because, of course, she is, Kyle. How could you resist Lockhart? How could you possibly resist this guy that looks like if Dennis Quaid, Job from Arrested Development, and Tom Cruise had a love bit?
That's what we were talking about. This guy looks like a weird cross because he desperately wants to be Tom Cruise.
He wants to be Tom Cruise so bad.
But he's more Will Arnett.
But he kind of looks like Tom Cruise, mixed like if Tom Cruise and Will Arnett's faces were smashed together and then Dennis Quaid was watching that happen. Hello, and welcome back to the 202nd episode, Good Bad or Bad Bad, the show where we watch terrible movies and tell you if you should too. I'm your host, Mr. Brian Chilico, joined once again, Mr. Kyle Hinton. Kyle, today we're doing a film I actually found this a while ago and I've kind of forgot about it.
Yeah, this one feels like a couple of movies that we've done.
Yes, I randomly, I don't know if somebody recommended it or how I found it, but it was in my list of potential movies.
I am so glad that you got this.
Yes, I found it and then bought it on Amazon because, boy, this movie is something else. The film, we're just going to jump right into it, is Lockhart Unleashing the Talisman.
If the High Cabal get a hold of it, it'll be disastrous for the world.
It produces more energy than it takes to sustain itself.
What a title, for one.
Yes.
Kyle, is a 2016 film written by and starring
David
A. Lockhart. You heard that right. His name is Lockhart, and the movie is called Lockhart.
And his character's name in the film is Lockhart.
Yes.
Mr. Lockhart?
Yes, what is it, Marla?
Yes, his character is Lockhart. We'll get into that more later. Directed by Rocky Collins, who actually apparently passed away during or after filming this, because the film is dedicated to him at the end. But yes, it is my favorite thing. The very first thing in this movie, it says inspired by true events.
Bullshit.
And I was like, Kyle, I'll get to it.
Unless this guy's just crazy.
Here's the thing.
Some one world government type stuff.
Following the money upstream, uncovering the global consolidation of power that affects all of our lives, weaving together breakthroughs in science such as the Taurus Code.
Here's the thing. I thought that was my thoughts. And when I found this movie, I assumed this guy was like bonkers and was like made of like a conspiracy movie, because here's the IMDb summary, like the little like one sentence thing. Inspired by true events, a man's normal life is turned upside down when he inherits an ancient crystal artifact and becomes the key to unshackle the world from the dominance of energy slavery and the underground one world government. So I was like, oh, okay, this guy's crazy.
So they just copy and paste the plot from like Deus Ex.
Yeah. So there are video games in this guy. We'll get to some of the. We'll get to that. But so I thought I was like, okay, this guy's one of those people like Sherry Wang, Shiyun Wang, who just like buys into some real bonker stuff and decided to make a movie about it. After watching it and doing a little bit of research, I'm not actually sure that's the case. I think what it actually is might be more interesting than that.
Brian starts trying to sell pamphlets for like the one world government.
No, not that I think any of that shit's true, because I very much don't. But I think what this movie is might be less of a guy making like his conspiracy theory fueled like fever dream, and more of a guy using some background information about himself to make a movie that he thought would be cool. It's hard to explain. Yeah. I'll get to it.
A heart within a featherlock and a new name to reflect his achievement, Lockhart, opener of locked hearts. As well as a new name, our family gained a precious heirloom.
The other film that this reminds me of, because we had mentioned was it Forbidden Power or whatever like that?
Well, before we started recording, you mentioned Forbidden Power, I think is the one where
the other one this reminds me of, and tell me if you agree with this, Cross.
Look out, bad guys. Fastball's in town.
He had a green glow. Bullets didn't hurt him.
That's Cross.
I thought Cross was just a rumor.
There's no rumor, young lady. That is a deadly vigilante. Cross.
Oh yeah, a little bit. Yeah. Because that was also a main, like the writer director star kind of thing.
It
right?
also having to do with a family heirloom.
Yes. But in this instance, the inspired by true events, I think, is real. We'll get to it. I'm gonna do my best. I didn't actually get all the information, but anyways, we're gonna jump right in. So we open right up on our hero strapped to a chair like he's James Bond in Casino Royale, about to get his nuts hit by a rope by Hannibal. But we don't really get much from that. He's just in this chair and he's like bleeding and he's like being interrogated. And we're like, okay. And then the credits start rolling. We get the opening credits. And also this movie stars Anne Lockhart, which I think it must be his mother, I would imagine.
I would think so.
Yeah, it's a woman. She'll show up later. We'll talk about her. And again, we get another credit that says, so the movie opened with inspired by true events. And then during the opening credits, we get another based on real events title card at one point.
Oh, God.
But then we jump in and we're introduced to John Lockhart, or whatever the frick his name is. I think it's John Lockhart. Or Lockhart. I was going to call him Lockhart. And he's like a photographer. We open up on him taking photos of models.
Yes.
I don't.
For the lone Coca-Cola product placement.
I have no idea, but he's just hanging. He's just taking pictures of hot ladies and hanging out with hot ladies in hot tubs and just all kinds of him being around
living
hot
the big
ladies.
life. It's a big shot, you know.
Yeah, exactly. And then I love there's this scene where his secretary walks in, and we get a couple of these throughout the movie.
The beginning part of this is a little American Psycho.
Yes, well, and we get our introduction to what is maybe the greatest / worst thing about this movie, which is the ADR.
The ADR is.
I'm really sorry to ask, but my college roommate is having a baby shower this weekend, and so I was just kind of wondering if
Marlo,
it would be
when
okay.
I'm here, you're here. That's the job description. We have a huge deadline.
The whole thing's ADR'd pretty much.
Almost entire
There's like
movie.
a few lines that are not ADR'd.
There are a handful of scenes where you could tell they were shooting in places that were relatively quiet so they could use the sound.
You okay? You okay?
I think an angel was just born.
All right.
But anytime they're in anywhere that like has any background noise, it's all
the
ADR.
Sound mixing is just abysmal throughout.
What'd you put in this coffee?
Cream?
Really? That's it? That must be some kind of cream. I've never been so productive.
Well, and the sound mixing's terrible, and the performances of the ADR are like
they don't match.
Match at all, and it's really bad. It's so bad.
This is an amazing thing here. You get a letter from your grandfather who passed away 40 years ago. I think we should go to that golf course and find out what this mystery holds. Ooh.
So, but he's like a big hotshot cool guy. He's like mean to his secretary, and he's hanging out and fucking hot ladies, and he's living his best life as Lockhart or whatever.
Drinking his Jack Daniels.
Drinking his giant handle of Jack Daniels, yes. And then he goes to an art gallery. And this is where he meets Stephanie. So he's walking through an art gallery and he stops to look at a piece of art and he's like, I like this. I like that. And this lady walks over to him and he's like, this is good. I like this. And she says,
Well, I like this.
Of course you do. It's got tits.
Wow.
it's like, what the fuck is going? But again, all terribly ADR'd. It's incredible.
You're right, I hadn't noticed.
This one is called Matrix. It's from a series of the unseen connections between individuals and how we're all one.
And so this sexy artist is just immediately infatuated with Lockhart because, of course, she is, Kyle. How could you resist Lockhart? How could you possibly resist this guy that looks like if Dennis Quaid, Job from Arrested Development, and Tom Cruise had a fucking love bit?
That's what we were talking about. This guy looks like a weird cross because he desperately wants to be Tom Cruise.
He wants to be Tom Cruise so bad.
But he's more Will Arnett.
But he kind of looks like Tom Cruise, mixed like if Tom Cruise and Will Arnett's faces were smashed together and then Dennis Quaid was watching that happen.
Even more so, and not that I have any right to claim of anybody of certain stature. Let's just say I am a slowly shrinking man with my spine. But I can tell kind of how short this guy is because we don't know his height because it's not posted, but we do know her height.
Oh, do we?
Which is 5'8", and he's slightly shorter than her in some scenes.
Yeah. But he's absolutely shredded. We'll get to that. Like, anytime you see this guy, which we saw already, I guess, in the opening scene when he's strapped to the chair, dude is
jacked.
Cut. Just absolutely jacked. But yeah, I could not get over how much he looked like Tom Cruise and Will Arnett together. It was wild.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm sorry.
And so he meets this artist, and they're like, and they like chit chat for a minute, and then he leaves, and he goes home, and we get these incredible shots. They apparently got a slider one day, and we're very excited because he's just sitting at his counter drinking. And it's
I saw that, and I was like, what a complete waste of a slider shot.
What are we doing?
Yeah.
It's just a slider like moving, and it's like shooting his midsection and like the bottle of Jack Daniels. It's a clumsy ass shot, and it looks terrible, but it's. Anyways, but they're like, we got this slider. We're going to fucking use it a bunch in this shot or in this scene for some reason. But he's sitting there drinking and he's opening letters. And he opens one letter that is like an old timey letter.
Yeah.
And it's from his grandfather. And it says, the gist of it ultimately is, you must find and open up the heart. The world depends on you.
You must find and open up the heart. The world depends on you.
So then he goes and visits his mom, and he's chit-chatting with his mom, and I love the way this opens as she's making him dinner, and it shows her pulling boiled ravioli straight out of the pot onto the plate, and then just dumps like Prego on top.
Yep.
It's not how you make pasta. Whatever, it's fine. It's fine. I mean, you can make pasta that way.
Yeah, Brian. Yeah, Brian. It's maybe some people just, that's how some people were growing up. Maybe we had our cut hot dogs for lunch and whatnot.
I mean, I will say that's how my mom made pasta. It's fine. You can make pasta that way. It's just not the ideal way to do pasta. Even if you can use it here, real quick, cooking trip. Use jarred sauce, totally fine. When you boil the pasta, take it, get a skillet hot with a little bit of olive oil.
Yeah, I was gonna say the olive oil is the important part there.
Put the sauce in there, get the hot sauce hot, then put the pasta and then toss it all and then serve it. It's very simple, but it makes it way better than just dumping a jar of sauce 100%. On top. All right, there's your cooking tips with Good Bad or Bad.
Oh, I'm tired. Look at the time. You don't mind cleaning up, do you? Great. Good night.
But again, the ADR in this scene. It's this one, it's like, why is this all ADR? You're sitting in a kitchen with it's like a house.
Yeah.
How is it this bad?
You know, you were always yanking my chain. You used to love to play tricks on me like that. You still do.
No, you're yanking my chain. I thought you were trying to get me to get married.
Oh, please.
And also the mom's acting is just
horrible.
Unbelievably. It's like room level performances.
Yeah.
Like it reminds me of the mom from The Room. It's so good.
Nobody's helping me, and I'm dying.
Yes.
Nobody wants to help me, and I'm dying.
You're not dying, Mom.
I got the results of the test back. I definitely have breast cancer.
That's like literally the kind of performance she's giving. It's so good.
Open your heart and fly away. Give me some credit. I can do better than that Hallmark crap.
It doesn't say anything about flying away. It says you must find and open up the heart.
You know, but he does make a good point. And you, my dear, are not getting any younger.
What? And anyway, so then I think we see the interrogation flash again here, and they're asking about the letter. So, clearly that was we're going to get to that point at some point where and he's getting interrogated about the letter he got.
What was in the letter, Lockhart?
But while he's talking to his mom, she explains that she has this photo that she shows him that is of his grandfather, and he was a professional golfer who built one of the first golf courses in California.
Yeah.
That is your grandpa right there. And it looks like he's standing with his buddies on a golf course. And did you know that he also helped build one of the first golf courses in California?
What?
And so he's got to go investigate this golf course because maybe that'll have some information or something like that.
Yeah.
But his mom makes him pick up his annoying younger brother.
Yes.
I think we should go to that golf course and find out what this mystery holds. Ooh. And you should take your brother.
His loser younger brother who he picks up.
Like, this guy's introduction was so hard. They were trying to be like, oh man, we got this stoner bro who's just one to dude, just has no aspirations, just one to hang out.
We got to make contrasting characters here. Lockhart is this go-getter, like high power, like business guy or something who's sleeping with ladies and taking just super cool. And then his brother's like, just like a loser, basically,
just
like
a couch
stoner.
Yeah,
exactly.
Bro.
Where'd you steal this ride?
Got it for 3 virgin sacrifices.
Ah, they stiffed you. Mind if I smoke?
Yes, I do.
Perfect.
You haven't changed.
Try not to.
There's a scene where he's boxing with his buddy. And I love, this is another one of those things that is a classic, like the guy starring in this movie who helped write this movie, where he's boxing, he's doing his training, which will set up the fact that he can kind of fight later, I think. But his buddy's like, after they're done training, his buddy's like, you know what? There's no way, because I guess his buddy hit him at some point. He's like, there's no way I would have got one of my meat paws on you in your younger days at Harvard.
Slowing down in your old age, Speedy. No way I would have gotten one of my meat paws in you in your younger Harvard days.
So we got to establish that Lockhart went to Harvard and he's an Ivy League grad.
Harvard has a boxing program.
And he's a very elite boxer at Harvard. I guess, whatever.
I'd imagine there'd have to be very hoity-toity boxing as well.
Yes. And then I think he goes home and goes to sleep, because then this is where we get the first flash of the video game that makes an appearance in this
What
movie.
is this crap?
Right.
It's like storyboard animation that they just use in the movie or something.
It looks like animation for like a late 90s game or something like that.
It's crazy, but I think it's the story of his grandfather like hiding the relic or
like
the
he's
thing.
being chased or whatever. They're in their like old-timey
cars. But it's, again, every time we get a close-up shot of it, it looks like computer graphics from like the late 90s or early 2000s. It's incredible. So he has this dream about that or whatever. And then we cut to him the next morning. He's literally getting dressed after having a threesome. He's like getting dressed, and then these two women like sneak out behind him, and you're like, "Oh my god!" Yeah, this is one of those movies, guys, where the guy who wrote it is like, and then I'm
Look
the best boxer,
awesome I am.
and then you find out I went to Harvard, and then I wake up after having a threesome with these two hot ladies, and it's like, okay, man, all right, great. And I drive a convertible. It's a Chrysler Sebring. It's incredible. It's wild. So yeah, now he picks up his brother, who's a weird loser. They're driving, and for some reason, this was what was wild to me. For all the ADR in this movie, the whole time they're driving in a car, it's all real. Like, it's all like
weird.
It's like, how did they capture that so well? All right, fine.
John Lockhart. There you are.
He's gonna keep on shooting all the time?
Yeah, the whole time, man. I got nothing better to do.
One side.
One side.
One static shot.
One static shot.
The audience might get a little bored. Just warning you.
They might, man.
They're chit-chatting on their way there. And I love that Lockhart has to establish that he hates National Treasure, the movie. He's like, because his brother's like, this is kind of like National Treasure. And he's like, that movie fucking sucks.
How dare you?
Oh, you know, better yet, what's that, that you can be Nick Cage. The, National Treasure.
Oh, God. I hope you're joking. I hope you don't like that movie. That movie sucks.
You got both copies, man.
It's like, buddy, I don't know if you want to set up your standard of good movie at National Treasure when you're making this, but all right.
Alrighty.
Sure. But so they get to the golf course, and then maybe my favorite scene in the entire movie. They get to the golf course and they walk into the pro shop or whatever. Yeah. And there's a guy vacuuming, and then like the guy at the counter.
Who like the guy, I don't know who they got for this guy at the counter, but he is the most absent-minded actor they could have possibly gotten.
Which is perfect, because he just stonewalls them. The guy, Lockhart walks up and he's like, "So, how you doing?" He's like, "Cool. So my grandfather actually built this place." And the guy's like,
John Lockhart? This is my brother Adam. Our grandfather actually helped build this golf course in the 30s.
Okay. And they just stare at each other. And then my favorite thing is he then turns and starts yelling at the guy who's vacuuming. He's like, hey, Dave.
You know anything about this place?
And the guy goes, huh? No.
Randy!
What?
Do you know anything about the history of this place?
No. Thank you so much.
And then the scene
And that's it. What was the point of the scene?
I think that was an intentional comedy beat because I actually thought that was fairly funny because it's executed pretty well. I think that was actually intentionally funny.
And then our dad lived here too as a young lad. He grew up right over there.
They find the spot in the
Yes,
photo
where the photo is taken, and they go, this must
in
be
which
where we need to dig.
apparently they have permission to just dig up the grounds there.
Well,
or
I don't think
whatever.
they do have permission.
No.
They do it in the middle of the night. They sneak in.
Was this on like an actual golf course? Like was it not was this filmed on a golf course? Were they breaking ground on a golf course? Like, is that where they were dig at?
I don't think that's where I mean, that's where they were supposed. When you say were they doing that, would you mean in
Within
the
the
movie?
film, within the film.
Yes. I think they like snuck
Okay.
into like and like we're supposed to be like digging up the fairway or something.
Okay,
like that.
gotcha.
Yeah. I think
Every time I think of digging in a golf course, I just think of Wayne Knight in Space Jam. What are you doing? I'm fixing a divot.
What are you doing? I'm fixing a divot. Oh. He's fixing a divot!
they dig up and they find a box or crate and they open it. And the brother did mention that earlier on the drive.
Yeah,
there,
he's got
like,
moonshine.
Grandfather was a moonshine runner, like he ran moonshine during Prohibition or whatever.
Dude, Grandpa was a bootlegger. You know that, right? Grandpa Lockhart was a bootlegger during the Prohibition. The dude was running moonshine.
And that's what it is. It ends up being a whole bunch of bottles of moonshine, and they're very disappointed that that's all it was. They're hoping it was going to be something mysterious or whatever. So they take some of the bottles home. Lockhart goes home and starts drinking because he's all upset. He's got to start drinking out of his handle of Jack Daniels as he like does workouts takes his shirt off. So
he starts doing dips on his island.
So good. Ties his shirt around his head for some reason.
No, because he has a scarf.
Yes. Oh, that's right.
How pretentious can you be to be at home alone
wearing a
scarf and drinking Jack Daniels?
So incredible. And I love the disparity. You're drinking Jack Daniels and wearing a scarf. Come on, man. You got to drink brandy or something if you're going to do that. But he's getting very wasted. And then we get some very interesting editing choices here, Kyle. I guess the idea is we're supposed to make it seem like, because he's like drunk, but they do this overlay of like 5 tiles over the video. Did you know what I'm talking about? I don't.
So.
It's when he finds the locket. There's like these 5 panels over the video, but it doesn't really do anything. It just shows. It's such a strange editing choice.
So there's so many weird things. Like whenever he's having these flashbacks to like his grandfather or whatever, where they're like superimposing like maps and the shitty animation and him and like fire and stuff like that.
Well, they're trying to do like, oh, you're having a dream where it's all kind of chaotic thoughts or whatever. But yeah, they're just not great at it.
I think a lot of it was them realizing how shitty the animation was.
Yeah, so they're trying to like hide it.
Trying to hide it.
Yeah, I think that is also the case. But yeah, for some reason there's these 5 rectangles superimposed over the video. It looks so weird. But in one of the bottles, he can't get anything to come out of it, and then he breaks it, and there's a locket in it.
How did it get in there?
Magic, Kyle. Magic. It's like the ship in a bottle. You can't think about it. We find out it's magic anyway. So. So then he takes this locket that he found to an antique store, and the ADR in the antique store, none of the dialogue matches up at all.
Would you have any interest in selling it?
Oh, no, thank you. No. Family inheritance and all, so.
But this guy's like, it's Scottish. It's old, it's Scottish.
Yep.
And he's like, you want to sell it? And he's like, no, I don't.
Yep, that's Scottish stainless steel.
Sure. It's old and Scottish.
It's old.
If I had to guess, my sense would say Scotland? Might be a Scots piece.
And then he realizes the next morning, he like wakes up and then he realizes, or I guess he's just sitting there. He realizes that he has a key necklace.
Yeah. And it has
That I guess he's had this whole time.
It has a keyhole.
Yeah.
The locket does.
Well, and I say he gets he's had this whole time. During one of the like dreamy flashback things, we see like home
Video.
footage of somebody giving a key to a little kid.
Open the heart. Open the heart.
Key, yeah.
And it's and then the kid says like something about
Key to
open
the
the
heart.
heart. Yeah, or something like that. So he realizes and he uses his key and he opens the locket and magic comes out. It's like spirals of magic.
Yeah,
I don't know.
We were getting like flares of Pocket Man and Cargo Boy
Yes,
a little bit.
yes.
Marvelous. That was enough power to blow up a small town.
This is bad.
But then right after he opens it, we cut to some shadowy warehouse where a guy's like watching a bunch of monitors and an alarm starts blaring and they're like, the energy signal, we found it. And then he goes and he finds this guy who's like working on a car and he's like, we got to go get him. And the guy's like, let's go.
Somewhere in California.
Time to go to work.
Yes, sir.
And they load up, and so now some shadowy organization is coming after him because he opened up the locket. Then he goes to work the next day, and my favorite thing is he's at work. He has one of the most insane conversations with his secretary ever.
Yes.
He's like amped up now because we will find out later that the locket is like giving him vitality or whatever. It's like making him stronger and feel younger and better or whatever. But he's like amped up, and he's like, the secretary walks in, he holds up his coffee. He's like,
Hi, what's up?
What'd you put in this coffee?
Cream?
Really? That's it?
and he's just looking manic as hell the whole time.
Yeah.
And he says, "Go shopping." He's like, "Hey."
I would have thought he was on cocaine.
In fact, you know what? Take the rest of the day off. Go shopping, go see a movie, whatever you want, you deserve it.
That's what it seems like. It's insane.
Go shopping.
But he tells his secretary to fuck off and take the rest of the day off and go shopping.
Let's do some kind of cream. I've never been so productive. Whatever you're doing great. Just keep it up.
Oh, okay.
And then his boss walks in.
Yes, his boss with that...
With the world's worst facial hair, Kyle!
You have anything you want to tell me?
Whose idea? That guy needs to kill whoever suggested that to him. I'm sorry. He has the tiniest soul patch that I literally never seen another human being have.
Yeah.
Kyle. It is just, and it's a stark white, and it's like, it's a triangle.
Yes.
Like this big right here. It looks so ridiculous. It looks so ridiculous. But he comes in, he's like, "Hey, some people were here looking for you. They said they were the IRS. Do you have some stuff going on?" And he's like, "I don't know what you're talking about."
There were some people here just now, and they were asking a lot of questions about you.
Right now? Who?
Well, they said that they were with the IRS.
And then he looks out the window, and there's this mysterious lady.
I thought this dude was gonna appear later and just like sell him out. To
the boss guy. Yeah, that would have made sense. Yeah,
that would have been like more indicative of his character and stuff. It's like, sorry, hey, sorry, Lockhart, I got to protect the company or something like that.
But he just kind of disappears from the movie for the most part. It's not that, doesn't matter all that much. But there's some mysterious, sexy lady is inquiring about him at the office, and he's like, "I don't know what's going on." Meanwhile, he decides he needs to find the artist from the beginning again for some reason. I'm not sure why. I guess to buy the art or whatever. He wants to buy that piece of art that he saw.
There's this woman there. Asian, long black hair. Stunning dress, sort of a loner in the corner. I need to find her. All right.
So he's able to track her down. He shows up at her apartment. He finds her, and she's like, they're talking. She explains that she used to be a dancer. Must have been a dancer.
Are you a dancer?
Yes. Or I was.
He must have been a dancer.
And how she used to dance, but then she got injured her knee or something, so she can't dance anymore. But he asked her out on a date after he buys her art, and she's like, sure, let's go.
I normally wouldn't do this with a complete stranger, but I'd really like to.
Take me out to dinner? I accept. Where are we going?
And did you notice when it cuts to wide, the jacket this man is wearing in this scene is like 4 sizes too big for him?
Yeah.
He looks like Browen Wilson in that one. I can't even remember the name of that movie now. Unstoppable? No. Oh my, Meltdown. Meltdown.
Oh, yeah.
Browen Wilson with his giant dinner jacket or whatever.
Sorry, that was a fashion statement. How dare you?
Yes. But he's wearing this giant jacket. And she's like, yeah, just let me go change. And she goes and changes, and he like spies on her through the thing or whatever.
I think the jacket's oversized because of his jacked shoulders.
Yeah, it must be. He can't fit into a normal sized jacket because his muscles are too big. He explains that in some of the paintings, she's painting things that he's seeing in his dreams, and she explains that they come from her dreams, and so somehow they're having the same dreams.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you get the inspiration for your paintings?
My dreams mostly.
I have to. I've been having the same dreams.
But then she's like, well, here, I have an idea. Let's do this. And she walks him into a room, and he lays down, and then she mind melds.
Yeah, exactly.
With them or something. I don't know.
I like how everything's mind melding now. It's like
I don't know.
Literally everything is Which one was it? Which Star Trek was it where Spock mind melded with a whale?
That was Journey Home, right?
Wasn't that 4?
The one with the whales, I think, is 4. Journey Home, right? Yeah, yeah, yeah. But anyway, so she mind melds with him, and he like has some more flashes of the video game and stuff. And then he wakes up like hours later because it's like dark now. And he walks into the kitchen and she's like, oh, you're awake. I thought she had like bailed on him or whatever. Because didn't we see her get grabbed? Or maybe that's after this. I think that's where this mysterious woman like shows up and like grabs her. I think that's after this.
Yeah, because he leaves and she's like, you forgot your painting.
That's right. So anyways, he's like, I gotta go because he's like freaked out by the dream he had or whatever. And she's like, what about dinner? And he's like, I gotta go, bye.
I think I better get going.
Hey, we should talk about your dreams. And what about the dinner?
And runs out and she tries to give him his painting, but then she gets grabbed by the mysterious woman, and we don't see what happens to that. We'll find out more about that later.
Don't struggle. Don't scream. Understand?
Because I will say this, Kyle. Despite all this movie's flaws, the plot actually makes more sense than it seems like it does.
More sense than it deserves.
Yes, it's easier to follow than I thought it was going to be initially. Once it got to the end, I was like, I kind of understood what happened here, like for the most part, which is the highest compliment I can pay for.
I'll tell you a jump where I was like, wait, what the? And we'll get to that when we get to it.
Okay. Well, I'm not saying there aren't things like that. I'm just saying overall, like when the movie ended, I was like, I kind of understood what transpired, like for the most part, which is, more than I can say for most movies we do.
I don't even have a clue what's going on.
He gets home and his house is ransacked.
Yeah.
But it's ransacked in the same way the house was ransacked in Stick Fighter, where like everything is crooked on the wall.
Cops come in, they're like, so nothing was stolen. You don't know anybody who's out to get you.
And he's like, well, there is this ninja lady who's out to get me, and they're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
She has long black hair. I think she's part of a wealthy underworld or something, and she just appears and reappears at will, like a ninja.
A ninja?
A ninja. We don't get a lot of those.
The cops are clearly going to be no use.
Yeah, they don't believe him, or because they don't find any fingerprints or anything. They're like, we only found your fingerprints, and there's no evidence of anything other than the house being a little messed up. So, and you said nothing's missing, so I don't know what you want us to do here.
Wait, hold on. You haven't written anything down.
We have all the information we need.
What about this case?
What case?
Have a nice evening, Miss Lockhart.
And then he leaves and he's going to get in his car, and I was losing my mind for a second because he walks through this parking garage And I don't know if you noticed this, but or you probably wouldn't, but I started losing my mind because the parking garage he walks through, I swear, was the exact parking garage from an episode of Community. There's this episode of Community from like the 5th or 6th season where it's the episode where they have a program where inmates from the local prison are able to learn in Greendale by like using iPad robots. They're like little robots that drive around with an iPad on them. And one of the inmates hates Jeff and wants to kill him. So in one of the scenes, he tries to push Jeff down a flight of steps in a parking garage by just like bumping into his back over and over again. And Jeff's like, "What are you doing?" But I swear it was that parking garage. Now I went back and looked. And I don't know if it is, because I double checked, but it looks very similar if it's not. If it did, it got a coat of paint because some stuff is different colors, but it looks very similar.
Did you just try to murder me?
Then he gets chased by hundreds of people and we get a terrible parkour chase for like 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Where he's running away from like these 5 guys in suits and they're like jumping, they're like doing crappy parkour over like railings and stuff. But then he grabs, they're all like chasing him down the street.
He grabs the necklace and channels the power
and it, like,
or whatever.
Supercharges him and he's like, run! He turns into Tom Cruise.
Then he activates real Tom Cruise mode.
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
God.
And he goes sprinting off into the distance because he's super fast now. Then we cut from that to this building where this whole random group of people we have yet to meet start walking into a building.
Yes.
This is the woman who is played by, I believe, Lockhart's mom in real life, the older woman in that scene. And then she's called the secretary in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a guy in a hood and then a bunch of other people.
And these are supposed to be Illuminati?
So that's what, yes, I think these people are supposed to be Illuminati. But this guy with the hood is somebody they specifically like hired to find something.
Our sources inside the OWG tell us that they have recently detected an energy signature that matches the Lee penny. If the High Cabal get a hold of it, it'll be disastrous for the world.
Yes.
Because he doesn't seem to be part of their group because he's like, "Why did you hire me?" or whatever. And she explains that they need to find the amulet or locket or whatever, talisman.
We have an artifact that can track it. We need you to escort us to the compound.
I don't think they actually ever say talisman in the movie, by the way. It's only in the...
Okay.
I think they call it a... oh my God, they have a weird word for it that they say constantly, like tarzoid or something weird.
We're hoping to pick your brain about toroids.
And the guy's like, "Do you have it on you?" And she's like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Good." And he just
murders them, just murks them right there.
Give it to me.
What?
That's what it is. She says they discovered an energy signature that matches the Lee penny.
They have recently detected an energy signature that matches the Lee penny.
Is one of the things they call it. And that she says they can't let the Cabal get it. And then he murders everybody so that he can get the tracking device. This is where I Googled the Lee penny, Kyle, and went down a rabbit hole. So what I think is going on here is that when you Google Lee penny, it's a real thing that existed in history. And later on, after we meet the crazy conspiracy theory guy, the old guy, we get that one thing where they explain like the story about Robert the Bruce and the
heart and
yes.
all that.
Back in 1333, Robert the Bruce, the great king of Scotland, was about to die of old age. He summoned his 2 most loyal knights to the chamber, Sir Douglas and Sir Simon.
That's all real, at least to some extent. I found a document. There's a website. And so here's the thing. What I think it is that this actor, this Lockhart guy, I think his family actually does. I think this is a true story about his family lineage. Because on the website, if you Google Lee penny, the website or else he did a bunch of insane marketing for this movie. One of the two. Because if you go, there's this article that is like published by the Lockhart, something Lockhart clan or something. It's like a Scottish family called the Lockharts that like part of their family history lineage is the fact that they were somehow responsible or related to this little Lee penny thing, which was a real historical artifact. And so here's what I think happened. It's really confusing and I didn't do all the reading. Here's what I think happened. As opposed to him being like a crazy conspiracy theorist, I think what it is that he knew this story about like his family and thought it was like a fun, interesting idea for a story. And so like turned it into this super fictionalized, ridiculous story that is based in a little bit of truth in that this like actual artifact
Everything
existed.
needs a nugget of truth.
Exactly. And so I don't actually know if he's like a crazy conspiracy theorist in the way that I thought he was originally, like where he like truly believes like he found like he might have, because when I read this originally, I thought that this guy thought he had discovered like the secret perpetual energy machine or something. I don't think that's the case. I think he just thought this like lore, this mythology about his family was interesting and cool and decided to write a movie like based on it, and because like it's about his family.
I got to play my ancestor in a battle, and I was awarded or presented a replica of the Lee Penny Healing Stone that my ancestor Simon Lockhart acquired.
Which is like fine. Like that's kind of an interesting way, assuming that's what happened here. It's actually kind of cool and kind of interesting. Hopefully he's not a weird conspiracy theorist, because those people scare me. And they tend to copyright claim our channels. So we'll see how that goes.
Getting a nice little message from David, I'm sure.
Yeah. But I will say, like I said, I like your movie, man. I like your movie, and I like if the idea of what I said there is true, I think that's cool. But then, so they discover this guy named Hollister Green. They find a video of him. Although in IMDb he's credited as Forrest Green, but in the movie they very clearly say Hollister Green several times. And he's the founder of Operation Flourish, which is an operation that wants to save the world. But it's just like a conspiracy theory video about how the one world government is suppressing free energy and blah, 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 and they're the reason that the world sucks.
We have spent years unraveling who is in charge and what power brokers are out there. Operation Flourish offers real solutions.
And blah, that
so
sort of thing.
They head to like upstate California, right?
Something like that, yeah.
So they go over to Northern California looking for Hollister Green.
Yes.
And
but before that, before they get there, he has one more dream where he dreams, and I think what happened, so I think all the animated stuff, it might literally be storyboard animation that they never got to shoot, because if you notice, this is one of the dreams, they actually shoot a flashback briefly that's real footage of like John Lockhart in like 1920s clothing, like playing his grandfather. There's like one scene of that in this movie, and my guess is that they were going to do all of the flashback stuff that way and then ran out of time and money. And so they're like, well, let's just use the crappy story.
He did go at the very end of the movie. He went into a big thank you, like with all the people who donated time, money, and stuff like that. So they made it seem like this was kind of getting stretched out real thin.
And so I think they may have wanted to film all of that flashback stuff for real, like the car chase and all that, and just didn't get around to it. And they're like, well, we'll just use the animation or whatever. But we find out that his grandfather was like friends with Nikola Tesla. He's like hanging out with Nikola Tesla.
Yeah, just free energy coil stuff.
What is so urgent that you disrupt me from my research?
Mr. Tesla, your life is in danger.
I don't think so. Why?
And then during that scene, we also just watched Stephanie dance for a while in his dreams, which is fun. All right, sure. Then he wakes up and some people show up outside. He's like wandering around outside and with like a ski pole or something. I don't even know. Yeah. And these guys show up and he just beats the shit out of all of them because he has super martial arts skills now from the magic stone or whatever. Then they decide, all right, we got to figure this out. We got to get out of here. And she's like, let's go find for whatever the fuck his name is.
How about we head up north to Forestville?
What's up there?
Hollister Green.
Okay, yeah.
And so they go up to Northern California to Hollister Green.
Yeah.
And they meet him. They're asking all around town and can't find him. And then they get in this diner and he just walks in and is like,
there,
you idiots, you've been looking for me. Everybody, you've been asking everybody in town.
You need to work on your subterfuge.
I'm sorry, do I know you?
Not yet, but everybody in town knows you're looking for me.
About me. And my favorite thing too, he goes, they're like, we wanted to ask you about the Torvids or whatever, Torvoids or something. And he goes, why did you need to come here? All that shit's on my website.
We're hoping to pick your brain about Torvoids.
You didn't need to see me in person for that. All that information is on my website.
But he does say that the prophecy is coming true. And we will never hear said prophecy. People just say the prophecy is coming true without saying what it is.
We don't know anything about it.
We don't know anything about the prophecy.
Prophecy is coming true.
But Hollister is like, well, I mean, since you're here, you want to come check out my hippie commune?
You want to check out my commune? My Illuminati commune, Kyle?
Let's go someplace secure to talk. Come, follow me. Have you ever been a member of the High Cabal?
I don't think so.
He does a lie detector test on him. He sets him in front of a Canon
camera.
5D or whatever and scans their corneas to make sure they're not lying when he asks them questions about whether or not they're in the cabal.
Are you now or have you ever been a member of the One World Government?
Okay, this is a little freaky.
And then he takes them to this house in the middle of nowhere, this cabin in the middle of the woods, and he's like, we're completely off the grid here. And then they open it and walk in. It looks like your grandma's kitchen.
Yep.
It's just like, we're off the grid. This is our secret compound. It's like an old lady's kitchen. But he says that they want that he wants them to help them take down the one world government cabal, is what he says.
There's a war brewing between the Illuminati and the OWG High Cabal. Your crystal could be a tipping point that could usher in a new age of enlightenment.
And it turns out in this universe, in this movie, and maybe this is a thing in these weird conspiracy shit, I don't know, the Illuminati are the good guys in this?
From what I've seen most of the time, it's you have these invisible hands that are constantly fighting for control.
Well, yes, but in this instance, in this movie, it seems like the one world government cabal, shadowy organization that like runs the world basically, and the Illuminati are like pitted against them in mortal struggle because the Illuminati wants to like free everybody. And now I guess there could be some truth there with the term Illuminati, like illuminate, like they want to like give information to people. I don't know. But that's in this universe, in this movie, the Illuminati are the good guys who are trying to help people.
Yeah.
And they're not part of the shadowy cabal, at least not that it seems, which I thought was interesting. We get another video game flashback, and this is where we get all the background about Robert the Bruce stealing a stone, and it inspired the Crusades or something, and that's where the name Lockhart comes from. It stands for opening the lock, opening the lock on the heart. So Lockhart, I don't know, and that's where their family got the name.
Simon, in exchange, was given a new family crest, a heart within a feather lock, and a new name to reflect his achievement, Lockhart.
Again, I think this is all somewhat based in
the heart
real.
is actually like a crystal.
Yes, and I think again this is all somewhat based in real things, like real history, like a real artifact. Because the image they use at one point, the voiceover says like, and many people think the Lee penny is in a museum in this little like thing, and they show like a little.
And the Lee penny crystal supposedly sits in a gold snuff box in a museum today.
And when I went online and found information about that, that was the image of the little box that it supposedly. So again, some of this is at least somewhat real to some extent. I just don't know how much. They wake up the next morning and he's like, "Man, I love it here. This is sick living on your Illuminati commune."
So, what is this place?
Well, this is the kind of community the Illuminati would like to build after the revolution and the fall of the one world government. Happy, healthy people, thriving.
Well, I love it.
They like go outside and Stephanie's like painting. She's like, "This is wonderful. I've never felt more creative, and I can dance again," and like all this sort of stuff.
I can dance again.
Amazing.
And they're just very thrilled to be on this hippie commune. And then Hollister takes him to go see a giant sequoia tree.
Yeah.
He's like, look at this old tree. It's a tree. And they're like, "Wow, that's awesome. This is great."
You see this sequoia? His name is Armstrong.
He's the tallest and oldest tree on the property.
Hello, Armstrong. Are you having a pleasant day today?
And then they go fuck at a waterfall. They're like, let's go to the waterfall, and then they get down there and they just have sex next to a waterfall because, of course, why not? Sure. But then, while they're gone out having sex at the waterfall, the Cabal attacks, Kyle.
Dun, dun, dun.
Get a shot of one of the Illuminati guys, and we're about to get to my favorite little detail about this entire movie, which is that the Illuminati are all cowboys.
Yes.
Kyle.
They all have like beards with the hats
and like
it's
mustaches and like old tiny lever action rifles.
They have Winchester lever action
and like
rifles.
revolvers. And I was like, Kyle, I never in a million years thought I would watch a movie with Illuminati cowboys. It's the greatest thing. It's the greatest thing ever.
Oh.
It's so fucking good. But one of them gets shot in the head, and they're all under attack now. Big shootout. All the Homesteader cowboys are getting murdered. Hollister Green gets sniped in the chest, and Lockhart finds him and is like, no!
Don't let them deprive the world of the ability to thrive.
And then Lockhart goes on a rampage. He gets his gun out. He's like blasting everybody. But then he gets knocked unconscious by Sword Hood Guy, I believe.
Yeah.
Knocks him unconscious. And then now he wakes up in the chair. And we're back at the beginning of the movie, finally, where he's getting interrogated. And they're trying to figure out where the crystal is, blah, blah, blah. And this scene's actually pretty compellingly written. I really liked this villain's monologue about him being a mechanic and all that sort of stuff. And he's like, and you got to take machines apart to learn how they, it's actually kind of compellingly written. I thought this scene worked pretty well.
I'm a mechanic. I like systems. Do you know what makes a good engine? Simplicity. You eliminate the unworkable. You, sir, have become just such a part in our social engine.
And then he cuts his nipple off.
I can help you fix that.
He slices his fucking nipple off. Which is good. And this is where I was thinking the big twist was going to be that Hood Guy was the brother.
No.
Right, exactly, no, but that would have been good. Why wasn't Hood Guy the brother? It's disappointing.
They told me about you. You used to be Illuminati until you abandoned your friends and your honor.
That's enough.
But Hood Guy is working for the One World government because he thinks humanity isn't ready for true freedom. Oh, because at this point, he is basically, Lockhart agrees to take him to the crystal because they're threatened to kill Stephanie. He's like, no, I'll take you to the crystal. So they're driving to the crystal. They're having a conversation. Hood Guy's like, I was working for the Illuminati, but I realized that humanity's not ready for the truth, so now I work for the secret government.
I'm getting real Deus Ex vibes here.
Yeah, exactly.
The Illuminati revolution will cost the lives of thousands. And the people of the world are not ready to think on their own.
And then, so they go out and they find the spot and he's like, it's here. And they're like, all right, dig. And he starts digging and he's just scratching with his hands. And then it cuts away for a second and then it cuts back. And then the locket is just on top of the grass.
It's just there. He's that good at digging.
He didn't dig it up at all. It was just there. Whatever. And then they're like, all right, now unlock it. And so he has to get his key. And he pukes up the key, Kyle.
I know. I was like, dude, how long has that been in your system?
Is he a magician?
That would definitely be in your lower intestines by now.
Yeah, right.
Well, he is Joe.
That's true. He is part of the Magician's Guild.
I just want the final countdown playing.
Yeah. Oh my God. I was like, how did he? Okay, sure. Yeah, fine.
Oh God, don't look now,
but Job's doing his magic show.
Oh, boy, a stupid magic show. We gotta watch this.
But then, right as he's about to unlock it, guess what? The Illuminati cowboys are here to save the day, baby.
Absolute chaos happens.
Kill him first.
John, no!
Which that has to be a new sentence, right, Kyle? Illuminati cowboys are here to save the day. Nobody has ever said that in the history of humanity. I feel confident, unless somebody.
Brian is uncharted territory right now.
I'm just saying. I found the end of
He
this
has
movie.
planted the good, bad, or bad flag.
I found the end of this movie so delightful that all of the people who are part of the Illuminati are just these old guys with beards and cowboy hats and Winchester rifles.
Yes.
I don't know why, but I thought it was the most delightful thing I've ever seen. So they all show up and they're like start shooting everybody, and Hood guy can deflect bullets with his katana.
Yeah, what the hell?
And then he's hiding. So at one point he gets Lockhart's like hiding, and all this gunfire's going off, and this guy lays down next to him. It's his brother.
Yeah.
What's up, bro? You too? Surprise.
His brother's like, I'm here, and he's got an assault rifle that he picked up off a body, and he's like, I joined the Illuminati 2 years ago. I've been. It's like, what is happening? What?
Me, Jay, the woman who was following you, we're all Illuminati. How long? Oh, about 2 years now. I finally put together the stories Grandma used to tell me.
So they're all fighting everybody, and then at some point, finally, Lockhart squares off with the villain guy. I can't remember. I don't know if he has a name. The guy who's in the suit who was interrogating him and cut his nipple off and everything. Who's like the main, like,
I do not remember his name.
But they square off, and he's like, Mr. Lockhart.
Mr. Lockhart. So it comes down to you and me. Mano a mano. Just as the prophecy foretold.
Like, what fucking prophecy? What prophecy? But again, good on this guy for making his weird family lore into a silly movie. I kind of love that for him. But he fights this guy for a bit, and he's able to, or no, he gets defeated. He gets shot and dies. But meanwhile, while this is all going on, we get an epic sword fight. Ninja lady from earlier shows up with a sword of her own, and we get this awesome backlit like sword fight on a hill. This is a better sword fight than Virtual Combat. I'm like significantly better.
Very true.
Like the choreography is not terrible, and it actually moves pretty quickly. But these two like fence on top of this hill for a while. Hood guy and the lady. But it's Sun, and they have a pretty sick little sword fight. But he's able to escape. Like he's about to kill her, but he decides not to, and then he gets shot at and runs away. And then meanwhile, Lockhart gets shot. Falls over, and the bad guy grabs.
Dying for a while.
He's dying for a while. Bad guy grabs the medallion and runs off.
Also, he like does this. They're like we're in the dead of night right now, and then when we get to the next scene where Lockhart's supposed to be like in his.
It's dawn now, Kyle.
It's dawn. Yeah.
The sun is coming up.
Yep.
Yeah, but they rush over and they're like, "No, don't!" His brother's like, "Don't die!" And Stephanie's like, "You can't die. I love you." It's like, "Do you?" Because barely know each other. Okay, sure, it's a movie thing.
Waterfalls.
Yeah, that's fine. It's a movie thing. It's fine. It's fine. But so he's dying, and they're like, and again, actually, the performances, even Lockhart, all criticism of this movie aside, he's not like a terrible actor.
No.
And like most of the performances in this are pretty good. Like the girl's fine, his brother's fine, everybody's fine.
She's still alive?
I don't know.
Oh my God, John! Oh my God, John! Thank you. But how is this possible? John?
It's really just, if they had a good sound like guy, it's sound.
Here's the thing. If the biggest thing we're complaining about is the ADR, you did some things right.
Like I said, well, and it's not the most beautifully shot film. Like it's not hideous, and there's some moments that look okay. Like the sword fight's kind of cool looking and stuff, but he literally dies He dies and then comes back to life.
Because he had the stone the whole time.
He had the stone the whole time. He got it out of the locket, so the guy got an empty locket or whatever.
We're alive. Really? Yeah, angels? Look like angels.
I love you.
And then we cut. An evil guy is now at Lockhart's house for some reason. I don't.
Yeah.
Because it's the ransacked house from earlier. He's there, and there's this evil lady in high heels.
Yes.
Who walks in, and he's like, Your
I like how,
Majesty.
and she also has like high up billing too.
Yes.
Vanessa Angel, I think.
Yes, it's the only scene she's in.
I know. I only reason I know her name is some model from like the early 2000s or something like that. Person who would be in like something like Baywatch or something like that.
But she walks in and he's like, Your Majesty, I got the locket. And he hands her the locket and she opens it and it's empty. She throws it at him and she gets a knife and she's like, Go find that locket or I will fucking murder you. And he runs away and then she turns and looks down the barrel of the camera.
Her eyes turn red.
Is she the devil?
Maybe.
What is going on here? And then credits, and that's the end of the movie. Except, and I think this is almost a blooper thing and not supposed to actually be like in the movie necessarily. After the credits roll, we get these two cut-in scenes. It says
Lockhart day 3.
And he gets
which
he's
might
in
be
bed.
day 3 of filming.
That's what I think. Yeah. And I think that's the idea. Is it's like supposed to be like outtakes or whatever.
Yeah.
And he gets up out of bed, and it's the two
women.
girls that we saw earlier that he had the threesome with. And then it cuts, and then it says Lockhart day 33. And then he gets up, and it's two guys. It's like the villain, and then we think the director.
We think
maybe?
one of them is the director.
Yeah. At least it looked like, because I saw pictures of the director. And I think that's him. Potentially, but they're both laying in bed, and then it's like, haha. Then it cuts, and that's
the end of it. It's like,
and they don't even really make a joke. It's just like, all right, I guess he was sleeping with dudes. All right, the end.
Did we forget?
But that's the end of the movie. But Kyle, good fucking news. I mentioned in the last episode that there is a sequel to this movie, and it is freaking called. I gotta find it because it's got an incredible name. I put it at the beginning of the last one here. Lockhart, Into the Past, Darkly. Editing Brian here. Okay, so I just have to talk about here. Into the Past, Darkly is the subtitle the sequel has on IMDb, as you can see here. But then on the poster that I showed, the subtitle is Through the Dark Pastly. So I guess he added like a joke subtitle to the poster or something. It's clearly a joke because Into the Past Darkly kind of makes sense, but Through the Dark Pastly is clearly like a joke. So I don't know what's going on here, but I'm excited to watch it. That is a name, Kyle. Lockhart, semicolon, Into the Past, comma, Darkly. That's a name.
That's great.
And it's pretty recent. So this one came out in 2016, I believe, or 2015. And I believe the sequel came out in like 2020 or 2021. I don't know. Like, so it's a little more recent. But I'm very excited one day to revisit the world of Lockhart because I think this movie's good, bad.
It's good, bad. It's good, bad.
It's good, bad in a different way. Yeah.
It's tolerable in a lot of ways. Like it
gets a little boring at times, but not terrible.
It's in that vanity project thing.
Yes,
that's why it's good, bad.
It's got good vanity project stuff. The ADR is consistently hilarious throughout.
Yes,
I will never get over Illuminati Cowboys. I would just never. The Illuminati Cowboys is my favorite like world building concept I think I've seen in a movie in a decade. Something about it just appeals to me so much. And it's and some of it's like I said, it's not like so incompetent in every way. It's not like so terrible. It's kind of a somewhat cohesive movie that kind of makes sense and is kind of interesting and has some fun ideas, but is also not very good. I don't know, but I liked it, Kyle. I liked it, and I'm giving it good, bad. And that's good.
Brian approved.
That's going to do it for this episode. Good, better, bad, bad. As always, you can do us a giant favor by heading over to patreon.com/GBorBB. Support us there for bonus content. Get access to all that kind of good stuff. I have a podcast. Oh wait, let's do the merch. I'm not wearing the merch. But you can buy our merch. tpublic.com. Just search for Good Bad. All these links are in the description. I always say them, but you just look on the description. You can find any of this information. You can buy our merch. I have a podcast called This Film Is It. We're talking about movies that are based on books. When this episode's out, our most recent episode will have been, I believe, Casino Royale.
Ooh, nice.
I think.
Now, which version of Casino Royale?
The 2000, the Daniel Craig.
Oh man, yeah. I was really wanting to watch the Peter Sellers one.
Somebody else had said the same thing when we announced it, but it was a patron request. A patron wanted us specifically to do the Daniel Craig one, which I'm excited about because that's like maybe my favorite Bond movie. Yeah, it's like up there among my favorite Bond movie. So yeah, we'll be doing that. And I think that's it. Until next time, keep watching movies.
Especially Lockhart, unleashing the Talisman.
Darkly.